Today's show is sponsored by our friends at OrcaCoolers.com. From roto-molded coolers that keep your ice good for days. They have drinkware like the barrel, the football barrel, the shorty, the stein, the teeny, the vino. They have chasers. They have coffee campers and travelers. All sorts of stuff. It's going to keep your drinks cold or hot. You're going to have coolers that will keep ice for days, and they're bear-proof. Go to OrcaCoolers.com/bourbon for 15% off your order. That's OrcaCoolers.com/bourbon. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Old Limestone Mixing Water. It is the mixing water of Kentucky bourbon. We are firm believers here at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Drink however you want to drink. You want ice in it? Put ice in it. You want to put some water in it? Put water in it. And if you're going to put water in it, use water that was filtered through limestone in an aquifer that's 130 feet under the ground. Old Limestone's unique Kentucky limestone aquifer produces a rich, velvety, smooth water with hints of calcium and magnesium, which amplify flavors. Yet with no iron at all, you can make bourbon anywhere you want, but 95% of it is made in Kentucky because the water is special. Use Old Limestone water to mix. Take the taste test. Pour a bourbon neat. Sip it. Now add Old Limestone, swirl it, and sip again. Check out Old Limestone at oldlimestone.com, or they're available at a store near you or online.
Bourbon and Beyond this September in Louisville, Kentucky with Bruno Mars, The Killers, Black Keys, Brandy Carlisle, plus Duran Duran, Billy Strings, Black Crows, the Avett Brothers, Blondie, and so many more. Bourbon and Beyond, September 14th through 17th in Louisville, Kentucky. All passes on sale now for as low as $10 down at bourbonandbeyond.com.
What you got for me, Zeke Baker?
Well, I happen to have a down moment. While I was in my other office at work today, scrolling the phone. So I decided to check out our Instagram for a second. And granted, it was a repost, but you had something talking smack. People either say K or just use the thumbs up symbol.
100%.
I use them both all the damn time.
I know, and you're an asshole. And you are an asshole. I hope you have a shitty day.
It's ass and hole, but yes.
It is. So like when someone just sends you the K, I'm like, what? You don't know where the O is?
It's simpler. Or the thumbs up symbol. I got it. Woo.
It's so condescending. It's like,
it's not.
It is condescending. It is.
I don't see how that is. Unless you have read receipts, which I do on purpose, so people know if I read their message or not. But that to me is confirmation that I got it, but I didn't need to say any words. Like, hey, dog, I see you at the place at 7:30. Send a thumbs up. What's wrong with that?
What about like
what I'm wearing or what kind of cologne I've got on or who I'm bringing or something? I don't see what else there'd be to say.
I would prefer like sounds good or cool or see you there.
That's the people that use the auto text, and I don't fool with that because it's stupid to me.
I don't use auto text. You can't thumb out, see you there.
That's time out of my day, dog. I got stuff to do.
What's with this dog thing today? That's new. Like, is it because you're wearing the shirt, them dogs is hell, and all of a sudden you're going to like answer everything with dog? Is this like your equivalent of Roll Tide?
I mean, I don't know if you saw the NFL draft recently, but man, our entire starting defense from 2021, 2 seasons ago, got drafted. I think that is the first time ever that an entire starting side of the ball got drafted.
Starting defense, seat at the table. Sorry, whenever anyone says starting defense, I just think of the program.
And when you say seat at the table, I think about you at the Golden Corral.
Oh, man. I got stories about that when I used to do radio when I was poor. If you show up at Sunday, like 9:30, and bring a newspaper, you can hit breakfast and lunch at the same time. You just got to wait it out. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker. And together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. This is an unedited show. As you know, we are behind. We need to get some shows out. And when I get Zeke speechless, cracking up at the back, you know I did good. That's all I got to say.
I can just only imagine you old manning it up, coming in there with newspaper, ready, just literally another dog reference, but here to hunker down.
No, I go with my friend Skip.
My lunch.
I go with my friend Skip, and Skip still does radio in Lexington. Bless his heart, he's got an amazing voice, and they don't pay you a lot in radio, so you got to hit the Golden Corral. Sometimes you got to hit it, for breakfast and lunch. It's like perfect brunch.
I mean, my best friend back home, whenever Mickey D's had the 50-piece nuggets on sale for $10, he'd go get it. Granted, he would always claim he was going to stretch it out, but I never saw this really occur. But I see the thought process.
I mean, I'm a big boy. I think I could take down a 20, but I don't think I could go above it.
Seriously?
I don't think I could.
Oh, son.
I really don't. Like, once I got to 20, I'd kind of be like, all right, I'm good.
Weak.
Well, I am on one today. I know you are too. Right now, I got to tell you the craziest thing. I just got a text. So my daughter is auditioning for a play and a musical. So like, it's either this thing in Nashville up there that you can either get the play or the musical. You might get both and then you get to pick it, but it's like a bigger acting thing. And my daughter's into acting and singing and all that kind of stuff. I just got the text. So Keith Urban is here with his kid. Our daughter is going up against Keith Urban's kid in this musical play thing. I don't know how we're going to do it. I'm like, but what if they get it together? And then like, we got to go hang out. And we don't really care too much about celebrities here in Nashville, but it wouldn't be bad to be like, okay, my daughter's in a play with Keith and Nicole's kid.
Hey, best of luck, Sophie. Best of luck.
I know. You heard. She called. We had to prolong doing this podcast because she got this gizmo watch so she can video chat me. And she's like, Dad, I'm about to go in. I need your support. And I was like, all right, I got you. You got this. Like, what do you need? Pep talk. I'm here for you.
Break a leg, kid. Break a leg.
There was other shit I was like ready to bring up with you, and I can't remember what it was. There was so much stuff I wanted to bring up today. I was like my head was zipping because I'm like, all right, for those of you that don't know, I had this whole speech on the Jack Daniels episode. I'm like, we're going to get our shit together. And then last week I got like debilitating COVID. Like I thought COVID was done being like tough. There were 2 nights I literally did not sleep and had a fever all night. Like it was bad. So for all of you, when I said I got my shit together and then I didn't, I apologize. We are going to attempt to get our shit together again, which is why we're doing this episode now. But it's like everything that goes, we end up getting a big old kick in the ass this year. I don't know what's up, but we're going to fix it. And that's all I got to say about that.
Debilitating, like duh bears.
Duh bears. Duh Zeke. Duh dogs. Who would win in a fight? Georgia's starting defense or Ditka?
Ditka by himself?
Yeah, Ditka by himself.
I mean, I got to go with the numbers. I mean, you're talking about 11-on-1.
Oh, man.
Although, speaking of amazing things like that, so I don't know if this will end up coming before or after our show we did with Jeremy Joseph and Wolves. But is there really somebody named James Bond? I didn't want to act like an idiot and ask it during the show.
Yeah, 100%. We had, so this will probably come out in a couple weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks. But we had a great interview with Jeremy Joseph from Wolves. If you haven't checked out Wolves yet, they are a great brand. It was one of those episodes last night where we were like, oh man, that really just clicked. Like we had a great conversation. He was very candid about the brand, everything that's going on. But the founders were John Buscemi and James Bond. And like, But hell, my name's John Edwards, so go figure, right?
Where is there a famous John Edwards?
Dude ran for president. He was a senator, all sorts of stuff like that.
I thought that was John Kerry.
Well, John Kerry was in Massachusetts, and then John Edwards was in the Carolinas. He was a vice presidential candidate, too.
He must not have got very far along.
He got elected, not like as president, but got elected in the Senate.
Sounds like a stretch to me, dog.
It's not.
Wait.
You got to stop saying dog. If you're going to say dog all night, I'm going to drive up there and literally slap you.
Either way, somebody that maybe could have got nominated for vice president that no one's ever heard of is not as iconic as Bond.
As a fictional character.
It don't matter fiction or not. How many people have ever heard of James Bond? Everybody.
But what, I mean, if your last name was Bond, all I'm saying, like, think about James's parents, right? If your last name is Bond, aren't you naming your kid James? I mean, isn't that a given? Wouldn't you want to be
there's
like
no James in the Baker family? I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but your last name isn't Bond. So if your last name was Bond, your last name is not Baker. Like, this isn't hard to figure out. Be in this fictional place with me. Your last name is Bond, and you have a kid. It's a boy. Wouldn't you at least throw out, like, wouldn't it be cool if we named our kid James Bond? Why not?
That kid's going to be picked on his whole life.
But what if the kid turns out to be like the biggest badass in the whole entire world, and then can actually
almost have to be to survive the heckling he was going to get his entire life.
It's like a boy named Sue. You're setting him up to be a tough son of a bitch.
Exactly. Like, no, I would never do that. No way. No how.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
Well, I am going to rant about this whiskey, but first of all, before we get going, I want to thank our friend Mike at Bourbon Apprentice out in the Carolinas. Speaking of the Carolinas, he's the one who sent us this sample. He had posted it on Instagram. I had said something to him about, I haven't tried that one, but there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to try it. And he goes, I'll send you a Zika sample. And I was like, oh, you don't have to. And I was like, literally, if you do, please know that we just need 2 ounces. We just need enough to do this review. He sent a little bit more than that, so appreciate him. But this is Old Forester King Ranch. You might have seen King Ranch before because of Fords. There is the King Ranch edition of a Ford F-150, which is where you've probably seen it with the W, with the famous running W from King Ranch in Texas. That's where King Ranch actually is. It is the birthplace of American ranching. So in 1853, Captain Richard King purchased a creek-fed oasis in the Wild Horse Desert of South Texas, sparkling generations of integrity, preservation, sparking. This is what happens when we don't edit, and innovation. King now covers 825,000 acres, which is more than the state of Rhode Island. King Ranch has led some of the first cattle drives, developed the Santa Gertrudis and Santa Cruz breeds of cattle, bred the finest quarter horses, and produced champion thoroughbreds, all under its iconic running W brand. So that is King Ranch. And then Old Foe, decided to get with King Ranch, and it's more of the fact that Old Forester is very synonymous with the Derby and all that fun stuff. And King Ranch has produced winning thoroughbreds. So it kind of made sense to put this together. But what they did, it celebrates the union of 2 iconic brands, Old Forester and King Ranch. Together, we created a proprietary batch of Old Forester bourbon, a bespoke blend of whiskey matured in heavily charred barrels and filtered through King Ranch mesquite charcoal. This is available only in Texas. It pays homage to the values held by both Old Foe and King Ranch: hard work, ingenuity, and a lasting legacy. It is at 105 proof, 52.5% ABV. The MSRP is 70. But here's the problem. You know exactly what I'm about to tell you. This is filtered through King Ranch mesquite charcoal. It says bourbon on the bottle. So people want to say maple charcoal is adding something, which is the dumbest friggin' thing I've ever heard in my whole entire life, because filtering and filtration does not add anything to the whiskey. But then you're going to sit here and say King Ranch is still bourbon and it's mesquite charcoal. So like, wouldn't mesquite charcoal be adding, which I know it doesn't. It's filtration. But for all the people out there, just let's get this out of the way right now, that say Jack Daniels is not bourbon. Like, here's your sign. That's all I got to say.
I mean, we could waste our breath on it. We both know how we feel. We both stated the opinion multiple times. I think at this point, how anyone else feels, they're welcome to. But without jumping ahead, I ain't so sure it makes too much of a difference here.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, I tasted it.
Yeah. And what do you think about this whiskey? I mean, let's start talking about it.
I was like, man, is he on slow motion over there?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
For me, I got, honestly, I hate to be textbook or typical or whatever you want to call it, but to me, this was very Brown-Forman-esque, especially for recent releases. There's char on the entry. It's very noticeable. If you work through it, you can find some fruit underlying. It was a little hard to find. If anything, I almost felt like I picked up oranges, but could have been a strawberry here and there too. Something in that space. Like I say, it was pretty faint and very beneath the char. And as far as a finish, there's just a singe that kind of lingers. And not to jump ahead, but it's just what Brown-Forman seems to be pumping out these days. And I have my own theories about that too.
So I think if you wanted to turn Old Foe into a Texas whiskey, like, this is a mash of for me, of Old Foe with the Texas whiskey. And it's hot, and it definitely takes on those characteristics of some Texas whiskeys that we've said in the past are like, oh, it's a Texas whiskey. And, there are some great ones, like Still Austin is putting out some good stuff. Iron Root's putting out some good stuff. There's a couple others, and apologies, Treaty Oak, apologies to if we missed anyone, but this is a little hot and a little singy to me. The thing that I would say too, and not to jump ahead, but to jump ahead, the mouthfeel was a little bit lacking for me, in the sense of, like, it wasn't thick. It just, especially for the proof, it being 105 proof, I thought it would be a little bit creamier. I think we've seen with some of those Old Forester single barrels, and the barrel proof single barrels, some of them have been very, very hot. Some of them have been very, very good. But I think you're either finding one that's super hot or super good. I think putting this at 105 proof kind of accentuates the heat, maybe, and it doesn't mellow it out as much as you would think. And then the other thing I would just say, and I know when I posted this on Instagram, or I posted something about it on Instagram, because I was complaining about the whole charcoal filtration thing, and I posted a bottle of this, and Peg Leg Porker rightly commented on our post and said, yeah, we did this first. And they did. And I would argue that Peg Leg Porker, the Black Label one, the 12-year, is better than this by a lot in the mouthfeel department and the taste department. Like, that one with that mesquite charcoal that they filtered it through, it literally tasted like barbecue to me. Like, it tasted like I was drinking whiskey in the middle of a barbecue joint, and you could kind of smell all that cooking in your mouth at the same time as drinking the whiskey. And I'm not getting that on this one.
No, that was my exact same, thought process or experience when you mentioned, because I didn't know going into this, about the unique charcoal filtering thing. But yeah, when Carrie did it, it was noticeably different.
Yeah, noticeably. Like, I mean, you could taste, it was one of those ones where I was like, I'm tasting this whiskey and I'm not hungry after. I'm full.
Well, and plus, like, Carrie sourced it from Tennessee, Tullahoma. We pretty much all know what that means. But through that filtration, it did not taste like Tullahoma, Tennessee whiskey by any means. It literally took on its own flavors, profiles, characters, etc., however you want to look at it. And he had a unique and novel product. I mean, honestly, before you said this, I had no clue. But when I tasted it, I'm like, yeah, probably 4 to 5, maybe 6 year Brown Foreman is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Not to shit on it, but like it doesn't have anything unique to it for the billing of adding something special to it that is not in normal Brown Foreman juice.
And I think there's certain things, when I look at like Brown Foreman, the Statesman from Old Forester, I thought that was a very, very good, you would think it would be gimmicky because they made Statesman for the movie, but I think that ended up being a very, very unique Old Foe that we really enjoyed. I mean, it was one of those ones where I remember we opened it at your old house, and we were doing a show there, and I remember we opened it there, and I was like, wow, this is...
Well, Statesman was sweet. It was good.
Yeah, it was super good. And like, I think that, immediately when Old Foe does like some sort of LTO gimmick thing, like that's outside of birthday bourbon, we're like, oh, they've had some really good success in the past. And this one, I'm like, it just doesn't hit the mark for me.
I mean, literally, when I taste it, I just go to a typical Old Foe profile. I mean, I don't know if there's different ways of filtration or how much, I guess, what maple charcoal, how much maple goes into it, but
no, this one's mesquite.
No, well, mesquite, not maple. Either way, it don't taste like that bag of Lay's that's got the mesquite barbecue on it.
No, man, those would be really good right now, though. I mean, the only thing that would be better is if they had them at the Golden Corral. I almost made Zeke spit up his drink. It was great. I live for those moments, y'all.
And not to harp on this, but I'll throw it out there again in case anyone has by chance missed any other shows. It does beg the question about the heat cycling. Yes, are they getting a consistent product that doesn't taste young at a young age? Sure, I'll give it that. But does it bring out like the fruits and the sweets and other things and insinuate what a lot of folks really want and love in a good bourbon? I can't say I found that too many times. Has it happened? Yes. But more times than not, we just seem to be getting heat and char. And at least I think Brown Foreman was the first people to really start doing this, full speed ahead. But Buffalo Trace, all those ricks they're building, all those new barrels they're putting out every single day, what are they going into? Heat cycled warehouses. I don't know where it's going.
It's a great question. Great question. I don't know. I mean, this one, I think you can get another bottle, like, especially if you don't live in Texas and you have to go secondary for this or you have to trade for something like this. I don't think this bottle is one of the ones that you absolutely need in order to do that.
No, you can go buy a 100 proof for $29.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it might even be better. I'm half thinking.
You never know. Probably.
There was one of those in that series they did where they had the years. You remember?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was.
1920.
No, that was the hotter one. But there's one that
Oh,
was
1910.
proof. That was the extra fine char though. Like that's as charred as this is. But there was something else in there right around 100 that I thought was a really good drinker.
Oh, it was like Prohibition blend. There was like, why am I thinking?
There's 4 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the end of the world.
There was a bottled and bond. There was a bottled and bond in there.
But that's the one that I would go to is whatever the 100 proofer was in that lineup. I think that or just literally the Old Foe 100 proof is like $30 on the shelf. There you go.
I'm with you on that one. And one of the rare times we agree. There's so much good stuff that Old Forester is doing, and I don't want to like make it seem like we're shitting on it. There's so much good stuff. I mean, I love the 1920, that whole kind of thing. We love the 100 proof. We've said all along we love Old Forester 100 proof. It's just this King Ranch. It's a little burnt. But we want to thank Mike again for sending us a sample of this. We had a lot of fun doing this review. He said he wasn't going to tell me his opinion on it until we put out this episode. So I'm very interested to hear his opinion on it. But thanks again, Mike. Go ahead and find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Where else can the folks find us? Zeke.
Music City, USA.
Cheers.
Ciao.